I'm at the Historical Association in Coronado. And what's stunning to me is a bulk of it is about the Japanese who lived here and who suffered greatly at the hands of people who thought they were traitors, even though they were the more respected and most conservative of all peoples. The Japanese contributed greatly to America. When it came to the war, they were shoved onto trains and shipped out of town to camps, their property confiscated. It was only until a few years ago that they got reparations, and the stories here are just really sad, to be quite honest with you, but what a bunch of survivors they were. They played like us, baseball, and they spoke American and acted American, and they just happened to have different colored skin, but they had like confiscation acts and documents, and like, look at this one, confiscation document. And then to all Japanese living in here, you're leaving, and all this heavy stuff. Just really must have been one horrific experience for these people. But as I say, they were all American. They didn't speak Japanese. They were Boy Scouts. They were baseball players. They were high school graduates. It's like they were part of the community. And by God, when the war came, they were excommunicated, in the very least excommunicated. But they survived, and they are now one of the most productive, conservative, and responsible citizens of this United States. And by the way, they always were. But there was a terrible stigma during the war, and the radical Japanese government did a lot of bad things, and anyone who was remotely Japanese was, in the very least, excoriated, excommunicated, and a lot of violence occurred around it. The property was confiscated. It was a very sad period in American history. But wonderfully, Coronado has restored the Japanese tea garden story here, and it's like wonderful to see what it was and how it was. And if you've ever been to a Japanese tea garden, you know it is absolutely magnificent. It just, the tea ritual alone was marvelous. But look at the kimonos they had. That was back then. Look at them. They're just fabulous. Everything about the Japanese was refined. Fine silks, fine everything. It's a wonderful, wonderful, artistic. Anyway, so I love to come here and look. And today I'm here to get the old scrolls of the newspapers that the way we used to read the newspaper. If we came to the Coronado Journal, look at that little bit. They'd let you look at each edition from when it started, and they were on, scrolls like the library. You could just watch it. And there's our director, young lady. How are you, young lady?
Good, how are you?
I just had the most wonderful feeling when I went back in there to the culture that the Japanese and the commitment and the contribution they made to this community back in the day was phenomenal. How they were badly treated and sent away, but they recuperated, and they're now one of the more responsible communities in the country. And they excelled at everything, baseball and everything else. They weren't even Japanese in the end. They were just Japanese descendants. They were Americans. And but there was a big panic going on, and there were all kinds of confiscation issues. Anyway, we're lucky to have had the experience. And I was just looking at the gowns and the kimonos and stuff. It was the most artistic race of people, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there you have it.